I have opinions, but what do you think? Yeah, I'm having so much fun. I'm bright red. I'm having so much fun. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Breaking the Internet podcast. I'm Allie at Ending with Allie, and we have the other.
She networks. Hello.
The other. My co-host. I don't want to call you a co-host because it's like we're equal. You know, it feels weird to be like.
That's what co means.
I don't know. I feel like other host, like father and mother. I don't know.
It's better than like niece and uncle or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like podcast daddy and podcast mommy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which one I am in that situation. Probably.
Oh, you're mommy. I'm daddy.
Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it.
We're literally gonna start every episode, be like, welcome back to Breaking the Internet podcast. It's me, your podcast daddy, Allie, and we have podcast mommy here.
Yeah, she networks. Hello, welcome.
So, Serena came up with this idea for our podcast episode, and then as soon as she came up with it, I fully went into like a 10-mile marathon sprint.
Which is great. I love that. I love when we both really vibe with like an idea.
I'm like, if you're not watching the YouTube, I'm like face breaking smile on this episode theme. Like,
yes,
I can't stop smiling. And the idea was, am I the asshole? Reddit stories, reading Reddit. And so for context, what we both found out is that we both read or both listen to Two Hot Takes.
Yeah.
On YouTube, which is, I feel like, one of the progenitors. Like, reading Reddit stories is super trendy. I listen to a lot of Smosh reads Reddit. Like, I'm still a Smosh supporter. I love watching Smosh, but like, you should tell about what Two Hot Takes is.
Yeah, so Two Hot Takes basically is there's a main host there, and I know her fiance is on there sometime. You guys should listen to it. I think it's kind of for everybody, but they basically read "Am I the Asshole" posts and then discuss
and other Reddit stories and other subreddits, because I didn't only go "Am I the Asshole."
Oh yeah, so basically just really giving your input and take. I am a little nervous for this episode, I can't lie, because I don't know, sometimes I'll read a story and then I'll kind of form an opinion before I look at the comments, and then all the comments are like way different than what I was thinking.
Oh my god. I know. I think the worst part about listening to these people who do these like Reddit post discussions is like hearing they do this a lot on Two Hot Takes, is where they like completely tangent off into something that's like and then tangent off into a subject and then use that entire subject to make their decision about the story that they read. And I'm like, these are two separate things. Like, that bothers me a lot, but like, that's what makes it so interesting. So like, be wrong.
Yeah. But I'm scared to be wrong.
No! Be wrong!
They're like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, okay.
It's fine. Okay. I mean, that's the beauty of it. So yeah. I ran, and I have been sleuthing Reddit for tech-focused stories. And I have a bunch of subreddits that I found from and I picked from. So I have 4 stories, 2 of which are very tech specific, and then 2 of which are tech adjacent, in the sense that the person works in tech and the scenario revolves around tech, but isn't like, this happened at my job, or like, I blah blah blah, like it's something about tech. But I think that we can give a much different perspective being in the industry versus people, the generic Reddit, and people who are not in the industry.
Yeah, so here's another thing about Reddit is I've been on Reddit for a very, very long time, and probably like most nerds listening to this have probably been on Reddit for a very long time. And I will say Reddit now is so different than what Reddit used to be. I feel like Reddit, especially the comments, is almost like becoming the level of YouTube comments and Facebook. It's very strange. Also, you read a lot of comments and opinions on Reddit that sound really good, right? Because maybe it's about a topic that you don't know much about, and that person like really sounds like they know what they're talking about. but then you'll read comments about a topic you know a lot about and realize how I'm like, oh, okay, wait, no, they don't know. Like,
Exactly.
what is being upvoted is not necessarily what is actually accurate. Like, I remember reading one post anytime anything about cybersecurity or networking comes up and kind of like the general public's weighing in. There was one comment about like, oh, the cybersecurity industry in the US is unmatched, like we're so good, you know, the US did Stuxnet. So, and I'm just thinking here, I'm like, okay, well, we need to kind of pull that apart, right? Because defensive cybersecurity and offensive security, or, you know, hacking, very, very different. And just because maybe a part of our government might be very good at one, doesn't mean that like our defenses are good, right? It's
Just
very
because our government
complicated.
may be good at something doesn't mean our privatized industry is good at it.
That's exactly it. Like a lot of our, critical infrastructure is privatized companies. A lot of companies that are for profit oftentimes look at cybersecurity as a cost that does not bring in revenue, right? Like
Yes.
it's just an expense that they want to minimize. Not every company, I would say. Obviously, people want to get the most bang for their buck, though. But when you're a for-profit company, like you have to budget, and people don't always want to spend a lot of money in something that they feel like they're not getting a return on, especially too, it's one of those jobs where if like nothing's going wrong, it's like, oh, well, what are you doing all day?
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, nothing's going wrong because I'm doing stuff all day.
It's the idea that like if you are acknowledged, that means you're doing your job wrong.
Yeah.
You don't want to be acknowledged.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a predicament, right? And so when people are all of a sudden asking you a lot of questions and you're getting a lot of attention, usually something good is not happening at that moment, right? And so yeah, that's one thing about Reddit I've learned over the years, is that be careful with what you read on topics that you might not know a lot about, because there's people are just throwing stuff out there and everyone's like, oh, that sounds good, like upvote, and this is a top comment, you're just like, oh,
That's
no.
so wrong.
Yeah.
Speaking of Reddit, if you want us to weigh in on something that's happening to you that's specifically focused in the tech industry and you want tech people to weigh in on it, we have a subreddit. It's r/breaking the internet. You can go on there, share your story, and maybe we'll read it. I have so many Reddit stories that I've discovered that we can read, and I would love to integrate Reddit stories from our subreddit or from the people that are listening and watching, so feel free to weigh in there.
Yeah, and subscribe, join our subreddit. So
Yeah. It's currently
Little-
one post that I posted myself.
yeah, shameless plug.
Shameless
but,
plug.
You know.
Okay, so we have 4 stories, 3 of which start with, am I the asshole? And one of which is about an internship.
Okay.
Which one do you want?
Let's go with one of the am I the asshole ones.
Okay. So, let's see. Okay, we'll go with this one. This one's from r/am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for refusing to interview my cousin for a position at my company? This one was posted 1 month ago. And I, 27 male, finished my bachelor's 6 years ago. Right after graduating, I worked as a software engineer at Facebook for a year, got a job at a hedge fund, and worked there for 3 years, got burnt out, took a few months off, and founded a company about 1.5 years ago. My little cousin, Miera, 22F, bless her bleeding heart, that's what it says in the story, has always been my biggest supporter. When I was at Facebook, she'd frequently remind me that my employer is a cancer and I'm working to make the world worse. When I was at the hedge fund, she'd always remind me that I'm paid a boatload to contribute nothing to society. When I started my own company, she said that she'd hope my hedge fund would take me back when the AI hype wave died off and my company went under. Anyways, we're currently interviewing for a lead designer. I guess the new grad job market must be tough because earlier this week we found Marina's profile in our applicant portal. My uncle messaged me later letting me know that she had applied and it would be great if we could interview her. I replied that I'm flattered by her application, but unfortunately, we're hiring for a lead with more experience. He said we could still hire her to work under the design lead. I said we're not looking to hire junior designers at the moment, but we'll keep her in mind as we grow.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle then sent a link to an article about my company's funding and said I certainly have budget to hire her. I got fed up and basically told him I won't hire someone who takes every chance to shit on my company and who I can't trust to be respectful in the workplace. And also, it's unprofessional that her father is messaging me on her behalf when she could have been asking me herself. He didn't message me after that, but Marina sent me a snarky text message saying she didn't realize I was so sensitive and she's sorry she offended me. The thing is, I don't think she's entirely wrong about Facebook/hedge funds, but still, she hasn't said a single nice thing about my career or even my company, and I don't think I can trust her. Am I the asshole for refusing to even consider Marina for a role at my company?
Mm-hmm.
I have opinions, but what do you think? Yeah, I'm having so much fun. I'm right, Red. I'm having so much fun.
So this one, I 1000% know my opinion is not going to be the consensus that Reddit has come to. I 1010% know I'm not going to have the same opinion. Because one, if it were me, I would hire her. I think she's got spunk. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
First of all, okay, I know everyone's going to be like, oh, like, you're not the asshole. I get it. I totally get it. I think that there's some miscommunication happening between the girl and the guy in this story, right? Because in my head, these are definitely things that I would probably say to someone I felt like I had a close relationship with and could be like snarky and sarcastic with. And that is, to me, like, I thought that was like hilarious. Like, I thought those were really funny things. And maybe that's just because, like, I don't know, maybe my humor is just like different, I guess. And which is probably why I'm not everybody's cup of tea, to be honest. But I guess it really depends, like, tone. Is she saying these things like she's like, oh no, you really are the scum of the earth? Or is she just, you know, kind of just trying to poke fun at the situation, and he's a little bit more sensitive about it than maybe she realizes that he is? And because he even said, like, I don't even necessarily disagree with her about, like, Facebook or hedge funds. So I feel like he might kind of be like, I know that maybe these aren't the best companies to be working for. Also, if you are starting a company, the chances are, especially in tech, that you're going to hire someone that's like, yeah, Facebook and hedge funds suck and are terrible, astronomically high, that you're already going to hire someone like that. I guess she doesn't really have the experience and the funding. The dad in that scenario definitely is an asshole in this case. I think he should have 100% stayed out of it. But yeah, that's kind of my initial take.
Yeah. So I personally am like, absolutely not the asshole. Don't fucking hire your family. Do not work with family unless you have a very good relationship with them.
Yeah.
Do not hire family, because instantaneously here you can see this person already has issues with this cousin. And also, I just want to comment that the username of the person who wrote this post, the username is badcuz12. Like, they know that they're being bad cousin, but I'm so against hiring family unless you have a really excellent relationship with them. And this little cousin has consistently dunked on the poster on OP, saying, like, your job sucks, like, you don't care about people, like, you're everything, like, not. And it's clear that OP does not have a good relationship with her cousin. So in what world do you think that OP would want to work with this person? Because it's not just only like, oh, they have spunk, but it's also like, OP is the founder of the company. OP decides everything. If their cousin doesn't respect them as a founder, it's just not going to work for the standing of the company. Also, the uncle being like, oh, but you've raised all this money, blah, blah, blah. Girl, you don't understand how VC funding works and where that money needs to go to. That money is allocated, like, towards hiring other people, like, butt out, step away from my money. We hustled for that money, and I'll say hustled and not, you know, the AI hustle is real. And also, like, the fact that the cousin applied, didn't mention anything. The uncle then emailed and was like, hey, like, interview my cousin, very clearly knowing that this person is super underqualified. Like, the person's not qualified anyways. They don't have enough experience. They want someone with a lead experience. Like, it just
Yeah.
wouldn't work if the cousin literally was like, hey, I'm thinking about applying. I don't have enough experience. Like, and actually convinced OP why they felt like their company was a good idea versus other companies after spending so much time being rude to them about their previous work. And
Mhm.
like, if I remember correctly, like the cousin said, okay, she said that she hoped my hedge fund would take me back when the AI hype wave died off and my company went under. Like, she clearly doesn't believe in it. Like, so why would OP waste their time
Yeah.
interviewing or hiring this person?
Yeah. I guess to me, I'm trying to I here's the problem with the Am I the Asshole post is that you're always going to be reading a story from a singular lens,
Yeah.
right? And so if he is saying some of these things kind of in a joking or sarcastic manner, but OP is like actually really sensitive towards it because I don't know, I just feel like I say things like that sometimes joking and I'm like, "Oh, this person's definitely going to take it as like me just like kind of joking around with them." And then they take it seriously and then I'm like, "Oh, like I was really just joking." You know what I mean? Like but it's because you think you have a better maybe rapport with that person than you actually do.
Regardless of joking, it's like, that's the same energy of saying, I'm sorry that you felt that way. And that's like, not, it's like, you said it, you hurt me, and you should understand the way that I would interpret things. And if you hurt me by the things that you said, it doesn't matter if you meant it or not, it still hurt me.
Yeah, but did he like communicate that with her?
Like, I don't, maybe yes, maybe no. It's not clear from the mess, from what they said, but it's clear that, like, it's clear that he does not like the way
Right.
that this younger cousin, talks to him.
Yeah, but I feel like if he's not communicating that with her, like how is she supposed to know? You know? Like
They're not like, they're not, well, I was gonna say they're not like family. They literally are.
no, I'm like I have me and my family are very very close.
Yeah.
So, like for me in that situation, I don't know. I just feel like there's really a lack of communication in these relationships between each other because even like you pointed out, she applied, didn't even say anything. Maybe she was like, "Oh, maybe they'll just pick out my resume and then, you know, it's interesting to them." I don't know why like the dad got involved. Definitely don't agree
The
with
uncle.
that situation at all. Uncle. Yeah. Well, her dad, his uncle. But yeah, I think that there is like a lack of communication. I'm trying to kind of maybe try and find some middle ground or give like benefit of the doubt to the situation a little bit. And I mean, he's totally in his right to not hire her,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's his
That's
company.
I don't think he's necessarily an asshole for not hiring her. I feel like they should just really be having a conversation between each other about these comments. Um,
Yes, that needs
because
to happen.
yeah, because if she doesn't know that like these jabs are kind of just like, you know, joking between the two, or I mean, maybe she is being 100% serious. It's really hard to know, right? If we just take it at face value of, you know, what OP is saying, then, you know, if he's certain that those comments had like upset and hurt him, maybe he, again, I think he needed to communicate that with her
I mean, he
clearly.
doesn't. It's his choice to, and it's his company. He doesn't have to tell anybody anything.
Yeah, but I
And
think I guess I just have a different opinion when it comes to family.
yeah,
Like,
I
I mean,
we clearly have very different opinions about family. If he doesn't want to say that, hey, your comments are mean to me, and he just is gonna grin and bear it, like, it might be the, like, way that his family operates, and so he doesn't have to say anything to them. Like, it's
yeah,
clear he, like, doesn't have a good relationship with his cousin. He doesn't have to have a relationship with his cousin if he doesn't want to.
yeah, he doesn't have to. I guess to me though, it's like then why does he care enough to write an "Am I the asshole" post about it, right? Like,
Because
why?
familial guilt is real. Regardless of if they're the ones being wrong there and, like, insulting you, you can still have familial guilt, and that's something that, like, you're just like, am I wrong in this situation? Like, I don't think I'm
Mhm.
wrong, but sometimes you just need a sanity check.
But again though, like I feel like that could be worked out by having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
So
like I don't know. Like I said, I think we have different opinions when it comes to family. For me, I'm very much like, if something bothers me, I want to talk about it. And if I hurt someone's feelings, I want to know about it. And yeah, I just think that like leaving things unsaid can kind of lead to like some animosity in the family. And I don't want to make like things uncomfortable. And plus, yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm very, very, very close with my cousins too. So that I think probably uh maybe kind of
Changes
like
it.
influences my opinion on the matter.
Yeah. So Reddit deems not the asshole.
Yeah.
Top comment with 2K upvotes. This is a big one. I found a big juicy one. Quote, "You misunderstand. I wasn't offended. I'm just taking note of your unprofessional behavior. I cannot have someone who is so unaware of appropriate professional conduct on my payroll. This job has the potential to expose you to people with backgrounds that you may not approve of, and from what I've seen, you are not able to handle that well. I can't necessarily blame you for what your father's incredibly unprofessional requests, especially his bizarre attempt to use an article about my company's funding to pressure us to hire you, regardless of whether we needed your skills, but I can certainly take note of how you use that information. Instead of using the information Uncle gave you to craft a professional response addressing my concerns, you shot off a snarky text. This tells me that my instinct was correct and that you are still not sufficiently professional to work at my company. Hopefully, after you have some more experience, you will understand why I cannot hire you at this time. Not the asshole. And really, you should thank your cousin and her uncle for giving you such clear indicators that she is not mature enough to consider hiring her. It's always risky to hire family members. If you need to discipline or fire them, you risk making your personal life more complicated. So they need to be practically rock stars for it to be worth it. So the standards are higher than for a stranger. And I think like the beginning half of this was them writing like a sample, like this is how you should respond, and the bottom half was their opinion, and
Yeah.
this was the most upvoted reply.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that working with family so directly, especially when there is kind of like an authority or, chain of command there, it can get really sticky. I would say that the one part that rubs me kind of wrong about that comment is like, oh, you've already proved like you're not professional, but he's never actually worked with her in a professional setting before. Like they've only really had these communications and conversations to each other in a family environment, right? Like not an actual professional environment. So, I definitely have differing opinions about a lot of things, right? But and my family knows that 100%. But I also in a professional setting don't, go out of my way to force my opinions or, like correct people or shame people or anything because again, it's professional. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to say that she would behave the same way in a professional setting around different people of different backgrounds than she would with her own family.
I think that the second that she put her resume in that pile was the second that she needed to shift her tone and be professional towards him, regardless of in or outside. Any conversation regarding trying to get that job
Yeah.
needed to be treated professionally, which she
What did
didn't
she
do.
say after
She
the
said after, but
uh
Meera, Miera, sent me a snarky text saying she didn't realize I was so sensitive and that she's sorry she offended me. So she like was snarky to
uh-huh.
him. Her
Yeah.
uncle got involved. The second that resume was submitted into the pile, she needed to be reaching out and letting her cousin know, saying like, "Hey, like I understand that I said these things, but I am looking for a job. I did apply because I understand that I see your success as my cousin, and while I haven't
hmm
agreed with your opinions and your jobs in the past, the market is very difficult, and I'm hoping that you'd be willing to consider me for this job.
hmm
Um, Also, keep in mind, she wasn't even qualified for the job. She's super junior, and they're looking for a lead. And so he would already be taking a risk hiring her. He's already taking a risk hiring her based on her experience. She needed to be professional from the second she chose to hit the submit button, and she wasn't.
Yeah. But at that point too, she was already rejected. Like
Yeah.
she
Well,
wasn't going to be
no, he
working
didn't
with
even
him.
know. He didn't know until it came up.
Wait, but how did it I guess I don't know. Maybe I like missed it. But how did it come up? Cuz if she's saying
They
like I didn't
found her her name in the application portal, and then the uncle eventually messaged. It was like two separate things.
Okay.
So she applied,
right?
And then the uncle reached out. I don't think she was.
Why did she say, "I didn't realize you were so sensitive"?
Because OP told the uncle that he thought that she was really unprofessional, and that the cousin consistently shat on his career.
Yeah.
And so he said that he was like, the uncle kept on trying to press OP to hire her, and he was like,
yeah, but I feel like
I don't want to hire someone who doesn't respect me.
Yeah, well, that's rejection, is it not?
Well, not formally, but it doesn't matter, because why is the uncle involved?
Though, but why is he also explaining this to the uncle when he should be saying this to her?
Because she hadn't reached out. So he's going to treat her like every applicant until the second that she chooses to reach out. I get why, like, he said it to the uncle. Why would he say? Because the uncle was the one messaging him, trying to get him to consider his cousin.
Yeah.
The cousin didn't reach out to him. And
I guess in that situation, I guess in that situation, the way that I would have handled that, though, would just like either not respond to the uncle's message and reach out to her directly, or basically just tell the uncle, like, hey, like, I will talk to, the cousin. That's how I would have handled it. I don't think I would have aired my opinions on that to the uncle directly. I think I would have had that conversation with her. And so, because now she's hearing this from a third party, one, she might not even have known that her uncle was reaching out to the cousin. So
I bet she did.
I mean, we don't know that, right? So I'm just trying to keep it kind of like, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. But I think that her hearing that secondhand, also, I think, again, I would feel hurt if I had found out that he had these feelings about me through a third party instead of just being upfront with me about it. But yeah, that's, I guess, my opinion.
I don't know. The uncle was pressing it. That's why the uncle got the messages.
Yeah. I think it's like,
again, if you are going to be a professional, a 22-year-old professional, like, sadly, mom and dad should not be doing your job.
No, but again, we don't even know if she knew that her uncle was going to be or her dad was going to reach out like that. Right? Like, she doesn't know. So, yeah.
Okay. Next story.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is a year old. It's from r/AITAH, which is basically r/am I the asshole? AITAH for not telling my girlfriend I didn't finish college. I am a successful software engineer and dropped out my senior year because I had a good job opportunity that paid 6 figures. I've been a bit self-conscious about it because I live somewhere where people go to work after graduating from Ivy League schools. Not finishing college has never stopped me from getting a good job. Anyways, my GF has a professional degree and has always just assumed that I finished school because I never told her I didn't. After months of being in my head about it, I finally told my GF of 7 months last night that I didn't finish college. She didn't believe me at first and asked if I was serious multiple times. I told her yes. She said that I lied to her by omission and that I robbed her of making a decision. Mm-hmm. She even made a joke about how she's, quote, dating a dropout. To her, education is very important as it shows self-improvement, dedication, and finishing something that someone has started. She also told me that she sees me sometimes lounging around the house, quote, being lazy, and that it all makes sense now. I don't think I'm lazy. I have a successful career and get stuff done around the house, a place that I pay for and take care of myself. I value downtime, and my job isn't extremely demanding, so many times she will see me on my phone on Instagram when I'm, quote, supposed to be working. I told her that I left school because I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and that I don't regret it. I've been able to get good opportunities in my field and climb the ladder, as well as increase my income significantly, which is more than double her income. Mm-hmm. After much back and forth, she said she doesn't think of me different, After much back and forth, she said she doesn't think of me different, that she just feels like I lied to her. I'm a bit torn because she made me feel like shit, especially saying I robbed her of her decision, which is honestly partly why I didn't bring it up. Because I was worried she would see me negatively as, quote, being a dropout, but I also think she was a little mean about it. AITAH? Question mark.
Yeah, this is an easy not the asshole in this situation. Like, not the asshole at all.
I think, like, especially in tech,
Yeah.
not finishing school is pretty common.
Yeah.
Not going to school is extremely common. What blows my mind more is her being like, you robbed me of this decision. Like, you lied to me. Girl, you never asked. Why does it matter? This person literally makes more money than you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the other thing too is like, oh, it shows that you like started something and you can finish it. It's like, okay, I'd rather be with someone who starts something and then realizes that like, hey, this isn't for me, instead of like making themselves miserable and continuing on with this idea just for the sake of you having to finish it, right? Like, if you find out early on like something's not working for you and you can
well,
be adaptable and pivot, like I think that's a positive trait, to be honest.
they never said they left because they were miserable. Let's just
Right,
get that
they had
right.
another
They said they
opportunity.
had an opportunity that was really good. So, if anything, this person's a really smart decision maker because they're like,
Yeah.
do I lose this opportunity or do I take like opportunity costs? Do I finish school or do I take this opportunity to start my career early and like change the trajectory of my life, which they did. They've been growing their career, they pay their own rent, they live in
Mhm.
a great location, they have a girlfriend who I think quite frankly is like kind of crazy for this opinion. Like obviously
Yeah.
not crazy, but just like I think is being very sensitive about this opinion. But like I think that if anything, their girlfriend should respect them more because the girlfriend should say like, okay, this person's clearly very like street savvy more than book savvy because they realize like opportunity cost. Do I take this job that's going to change my
Mhm.
life or do I stay in school just to finish it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's not the asshole in that situation.
Not at all. So top comment with 1.4K upvotes. Quote, she told me she sees me sometimes lounging around the house being lazy and that it all makes sense now. I don't think I'm lazy. I have a successful career and get stuff done around the house. Not the
Yeah.
asshole. If you decide to stay with her, prepare yourself for all the time she's going to use this excuse of you being a dropout for every time she gets mad. She's going to hold it above your head for sure. I really don't understand. Why is the degree so deportment when you have stable income?
But also, like, I see you lounging around the house. Like, yeah, that's what people do in their houses. Like, that's what people do there. Like, what are you talking about?
Also, at a lot of like really high paying tech companies, you do have a lot of downtime. Like you're
Yeah.
not constantly in crunch. You're allowed to. You have more downtime at like really big tech companies that pay you well. Like unless you're at like a hedge fund, of course. But like I know a lot of people at FANG companies that have a lot of downtime because just the speed of deployment, the time it takes to build, the time it takes to get your work done, how many tickets
Yeah.
you get. Like you're gonna have more free time.
A lot of, and especially some jobs are like a lot of, you'll have busy seasons. Like, think of accounting where it's like, oh, tax season's insanely busy. But yeah, if you're, getting ready for a launch, if you're, getting ready for like a huge project, you might have more downtime before or after that project's done.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can work like, you might be working 50, 60 hours one week, and then the next week you're, only working 20 or something. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I think that I think she might say that she doesn't think less of him or anything, but
She does.
based on her reaction, I don't really believe that.
It also like I picked this one because I feel like it's also like I can deeply relate to the sentiment of like non-tech people seeing tech people kind of like taking longer breaks when it's not crunch time and then being like you're not doing your job, you're just lazy, like you like clearly aren't a hard worker, like blah blah blah. Like I don't know if like I know that like you live with people in tech so they get it, but like I don't know if your family is like that with you. Like my family sometimes is like, why aren't you working right now?
Oh, my mom thinks I literally don't do anything.
Same.
Like, that legit, like, my family, I think they don't really, they do not understand my job whatsoever. Again, I come from a very blue collar, and again, this kind of goes back to the last story. My family like has worked together for a very long time. Like my uncles are Boilermakers, and I don't know all the details about that, but that's been like a family thing since like the war, the Vietnam War. So yeah, like they go through having projects where they literally are working like 80, 90 hours a week, and it's on your feet labor, and then they won't have jobs for a few weeks, and then they'll get put on another job by their union. Like that's just how it works. But yeah, like the idea that I sit at home on my computer and that's my job, and then like if I'm like making lunch, it's very foreign to them.
Yeah. And I think that that's like a point about like the tech perspective that a lot of people just don't understand.
Yeah. Well, and especially like a lot of the advice that I got, like my mom when I was, a teen was like very, very concerned about like me having visible tattoos or, different color hair or something because she worried that I wouldn't be able to get a job. And I told her, I was like, I'm not going to work for a company that has a problem or thinks that like my ability to do my job is based off of like ink,
Yeah.
like I don't want to work for that company. I don't want to work for that person. And I found my own way, obviously. But that's still like those ideals are still kind of foreign.
Yeah, I had the same issue too. So
Yeah.
it's just like a different like parents and peers that work that aren't in tech just sometimes don't get it. Oh, hello.
There's a dog in the background. If you're listening and not viewing.
Hello. Hi, honey.
All right, what do we have next?
Okay. So, do you want the last "Am I the asshole" or do you want the internship question?
Let's do the internship and then the last am I the asshole?
Honestly, I'm really glad because I feel like the last "Am I the asshole" you're gonna have a lot of opinions on.
Oh, I'm so nervous for the
Okay.
comments. People are not gonna. Like I said, I feel like a lot of times I always kind of like deviate from usually the popular opinion, not intentionally.
I think it's really gonna get you.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from r/CS majors. Titled, 2 internships at Fortune 500 companies, done completely with AI. Option to return to my last company. I've had 2 internships under my belt at 2 Fortune 500 companies. I go to a state school where the CS education is subpar at best. I am unbelievably lucky and, due to strong interviewing skills, somehow scored 2 jobs I'm grossly underqualified for. No technical interview for either company, only because I had very strong connections that pushed me to the right teams directly. I also quickly realized I do not necessarily have the aptitude nor passion for CS to actually be good at this. I tried my hardest to self-study to prepare for these internships, to overcome my lack of preparation from school or personal time, but simply was not very competent. I'm not the smartest guy out there. Despite ineptitude, I succeeded and impressed all of my coworkers. I am being brought back to the last internship I worked at. I was praised, never had any remote signs that my work was poor, and made solid contributions and features to the respective products I worked on. How? ChatGPT. I quite honestly ChatGPT'd 80% of my code, Stack Overflowed whatever could not be fixed on ChatGPT or my own. I would often hammer at ChatGPT to rewrite the code until it reached my intended behavior. I know enough to know what's bad code, good coding practices, and I'm an excellent communicator, so I was able to impress in one-on-ones, team meetings, and company-wide presentations. However, none of the ideas were original or generated by my own intellect. I am not sure if I'm a rare exception, but I am honestly deeply troubled at my managed success. My employers were not incompetent. My boss was from CMU. All my teams were from excellent schools such as Purdue, Berkeley, UMich. I would doubt that any of these are incompetent. They did not seem like that at all. All brilliant people. I was never monitored heavily because I delivered. But with AI, I fear this might be an ominous warning for the future. I do not need a college degree to succeed, at all at the computing job. In fact, since it's the first generation of AI, in a few years, I highly doubt that we will need a human to succeed at 95% of coding jobs. Save for creating the AI itself, which will require immense intellect and actual computer science skills, which I do not have. Am I delusional?
I think the story is fake.
Wow!
I think the story's fake.
Whoa!
Yeah, okay, so here's my reasoning, right? And here, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I've never had a software engineering job, right? But my issue that I'm having with this is number one, I mean, if it is true, I'll start with it. If it is true and he's delivering and he's learning and people are happy and it's working out for him, great. I don't really have a problem with that necessarily. I think it's not correct because as a software engineer, unless you're like just building small things from scratch, like you're typically like integrating into an existing code base. Am I correct? Like
Yeah.
you are already working with established code, and I think that it would be very difficult. I mean, sometimes I've used ChatGPT to debug. So I'll write code, and if there's something kind of like an error that I'm having or an issue that I can't really like find myself, I'll use it to debug. I think it can do that pretty well. But I think it would be very difficult to be able to write like entire programs in ChatGPT with it when you're already working on an existing code base. Because that is a lot more complicated. There's going to be some legacy issues there. There's probably going to be, you know, I don't know. I guess it really depends on the situation. What do you think?
I think that this person was like an intern. It was a junior. They weren't making architectural decisions. They weren't making decisions on a more low level concept, high level implementation. They were just build endpoint, add for loop, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is what junior software engineering looks like. Senior software engineering is more than that. And maybe that is where AI is heading. That's where everyone wants AI to head. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to be. I think that this person is wrong. And if they think so poorly of their skills now, like, that means one, they're using AI wrong. They should be using AI to teach them the things that they don't know so that they can hold on a job, because guess what? Not every company is going to allow AI. And so you have to be smart about those things. And I just don't think this person's being smart.
Yeah, especially from a cybersecurity perspective, like what company information are you feeding ChatGPT?
Exactly.
ChatGPT? Like that's a whole separate can of worms, but yeah.
I don't know. I just thought this question was like interesting because this person was like, I'm getting a return offer. Take the return offer. Who cares? Figure it out.
If I was in this person's situation, that is what I would do. I mean, again, it goes back to, are you, breaking issues where you're putting private company information into ChatGPT? Setting that aside though. If I was in this situation and internships, you're going to learn. That's the whole point. You're not really going to know a lot of stuff at that point. A computer science degree doesn't always really prepare you that well for the actual workforce.
Computer science degrees do not prepare you for the actual work that you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly, with my full chest, will say that. And I it was my first video on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. I think that is, I don't know. I think that's got my internships. I mean, I had an internship at a Fortune 500 and my background's networking. I was on their server team. They gave me some basic projects that I did, and I just kept asking for more projects, mainly because I wanted to learn. My thing too is if you're using Stack Overflow so much and ChatGPT to make all of these, products, code, all this stuff, like how are you not learning stuff anyway just by using these? Because whatever you're going to put into ChatGPT is not going to be perfect. You're going to have issues. You're going to have to do debugging. And yeah, I feel like this was written by someone who actually hasn't been in an internship, or maybe they were, but the projects that they're on are just very niche. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing how this would actually play out in the real world. But again, I'm not a software engineer, so yeah.
Yeah. Top comment on this with 118 upvotes is, as another intern, Fang, I have to say that for entry engineer, most likely you could in fact ChatGPT your way to getting a return offer as a new grad. However, I also feel like as you get promoted, it revolves more around architecture and system design. And this is where I believe ChatGPT is not reliable as it usually is more nuanced. Overall, I think that your approach is bad to get return offers. However, for people that read this, you should not give up on learning and try to learn things on your own without relying on AI for higher up roles.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially I would say I agree with that a lot, because I'm thinking like if you are working on an existing code base, or you are doing like the architecture part of it, like I just don't see how ChatGPT is going to be efficient or work well for you in those situations.
Yeah.
So
Use it to learn, as we said in our AI interview. Use it to learn. Don't
and even
use it
then,
to
like
win.
double check, verify. You know,
Double check, verify. Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
use it to win. That was not right. So, our last little story.
I'm gonna get canceled after this podcast. I'm scared.
Okay, our
Allie's
last
not gonna be
story.
friends with me anymore.
No, our last story is r/am I the asshole?
Mm-hmm.
Am I the asshole for the comment I made about women experiences at my engineering company as a panelist at a recruiting event?
Okay.
I am a software engineer working at a well-known tech company that a lot of people want to work for. It kind of sucks being one of two women engineers here, to be frank. I'm friends with the other woman and she's equally frustrated. But HR at my company asked me to be on a panel at a recruiting event where people can ask us questions about the company. We'd be recruiting interns and full-time employees. I said I didn't think I could. I had other commitments that day. But they were pretty insistent, saying that they wanted, quote, my unique experience on the panel. So I went, and overall things went as expected, with one exception. A girl who looked like she must have been a freshman or sophomore in college asked a question. She looked right at me and asked whether I thought company had a good supportive environment for women in engineering. I started to say, that's a ... and right away, the three guys I was on the panel with started jumping right into saying how everyone's treated like an equal, how anyone who does good work gets respect, etc. Now, to be totally honest, that has not been my experience at all. Same goes for my only other female coworker. I looked at these three guys who were talking about our experiences without seeming to know the first thing about them, and it frustrated me. So I took my microphone and said, quote, from my experience, you'll have to be comfortable speaking up when others try to speak to you, especially when you're the one with actual expertise on the subject. I won't sugarcoat it. It'll take us more hours and more work and more guts to succeed in this industry. I see that changing, but unfortunately, it's gradual change. The topic quickly moved on. Someone else asked a question, and I didn't think too much about what I'd said. It was honest. It was a lot more diplomatic than some of what I could have said. It was hopeful for the future, even. But after the panel finished, a couple of things happened in quick succession. First, an older lady who said she was a project manager for a software team at a bank came up to me and said she appreciated my honesty. I talked with her for a little while and then went to meet up with the carpool if my coworkers were going back to the office. In the car, they all started getting frustrated with me for saying what I did on the panel. Now, these guys aren't on the same project as me. We've never worked together directly, but they were saying that a panel wasn't a place to bring up those frustrations first. I said that we're making a lot of assumptions. My supervisor already knows more about that and more. I didn't think I'd said anything too shocking. I know I made a dig at them, with the bit about people speaking over you, but it didn't seem too offensive to me. I am worried that this will become more of an issue at work. Am I the asshole for the comments I made?
Not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Not even close. I thought, well, my first impression was like, oh, maybe it wasn't diplomatic. I think that what she said was very diplomatic.
Extremely.
I think I'm less diplomatic. I'm going to be honest. I'm just less diplomatic.
I literally would have said, this is a question about women. I don't know why the men are talking.
I would have been like, I think this is a great example. I think this is a perfect example of how you will often be treated. And I would have embarrassed the hell out of them on that panel. I am sometimes too honest. I think I'm honest to a fault occasionally. And yeah, I think what she said was very, very diplomatic, especially considering the circumstances. I think if they have a problem with her, you know, how she answered that question, that they need to look around, look within themselves, and be the change they want to see in the world, you know? So, them just answering, I would have been like, excuse me? I'm sorry, excuse me? Like, what are you doing right now? Because that's kind of just like, why I can't imagine, you know, putting, especially like other types of diversity, like sexual orientation or ethnicity. Like if someone of a, you know, group that I'm not a part of is asked a question and I were to jump in, that's ridiculous. Like, that's crazy, you know? But I think like it's a little bit less shocking when it is a man, a gender situation where it's like they don't, I don't know. It's not
They're
as
not
much of a
women.
faux pas, right? And I'm like, no, it should be though, because why are you talking?
No,
Why are you
actually, what I'm more like about is them saying that this is a well-known tech company and there's only 2 women engineers.
Yeah.
Well known with only 2 women.
I guess
Who?
I would want to know how well known and how big the company is. Like, I don't know. That seems really, really bad.
Really bad.
It's probably like X, formerly known as Twitter.
Honestly, though, oh my god, have you seen that photo that's floating around? That's
yes,
like,
that's
Twitter,
literally what
X.
That's literally what made me say this. Is right now, if you are listening and you don't know what we're referring to, there is a Twitter post that shows an ex-employee group photo before and after the Elon Musk takeover, and like the after photo was all dudes.
There's one woman.
One woman, and she was like off to the very, very end, and there was like a gap between
like,
her and the next.
She's clearly uncomfortable. Does not want to be in this photo.
She's just like, she's like, and I'm like,
But then the photo, like it's like a split photo. So the bottom is the photo of Elon Musk, but the top is the photo of like Jack Dorsey with a bunch of employees, and it's like super diverse, people of every like ethnicity, like women, like non-binary people, and the Elon Musk photo is like white people and Asian people and Elon Musk, and they're all dudes and that one woman.
The comments under that photo, I guess that's like one of the reasons I really don't go on X anymore, is because I'm just sick and like I should not have to read the worst opinions on the internet every single day. Like, it just is not fun to me anymore. Reading the comments under that was just like so disheartening. Like guys being like, good, how it should be, and just things like that. And I'm just, it's like, oh, those were all project managers. I'm like, you do not know that. Like, you're just making that assumption.
Yeah.
And just saying like that they were filling useless jobs, like just all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see these people's opinions, to be honest. Honestly, think they're not valid at all. Like, I guarantee those people aren't even in this industry. That's what is crazy to me, is that these people are not in this industry, but they have all these opinions. And I'm like, wow.
Honestly, though, reading this, like this Reddit post and actually thinking about it, I really do feel like it is a Twitter recruiting event because Twitter cannot hire engineers right now. Like, it's a very well-known thing that Twitter is struggling to get talent because of how hostile the work environment is and how
What's
bad.
crazy to me though is that there's always going to be Elon Musk fanboys. So that is actually kind of surprising to me that they are having a hard time getting engineers. Maybe they're having a hard time getting the type of engineers they need. I don't know.
The union of the circles of like Elon Musk fanboys and qualifiable engineers is like one.
Yeah.
Sorry, wait, it's like no, sorry. That doesn't make sense because one means a full circle. It's gonna be 0.0000001.
Yeah. The whole thing, it's actually really sad, I think, in my opinion, what happened to Twitter. Here's the thing though, too. Politics aside about the issue, I just don't think it's healthy to be in a constant state of like anger and stress. You know? Like you go
it
on
worked out for the Hulk.
I mean, he's green, so did it really work out for him that
well?
But
he wasn't green by choice.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm like, again, politics aside, like, I think that if people are on the internet so much and it is making them so angry and hateful towards other people, that's kind of like the time, like, you need to sit down on the phone. You need to sit down on the phone and go have some real life social interactions with, like, regular people outside of this area. You know what I mean? I think in general, if the vast majority of our social interactions are through the internet, that is like a negative. That is a very, very negative thing that you should not strive for at all.
Oopsies.
Well, I mean, it was hard. I think it was hard because of COVID. COVID happened, and then
I've been like this since before COVID.
I mean, fair enough.
I'm unwell. I know this. I say don't give me internet access. I'm always like, don't let me get access to the internet. Like, delete my accounts. Like, I make all of my friends through the internet. I'm unhealthy.
But also, though, you are, I feel like, establishing actually relationships with these people, like a rapport, versus these are just like randoms that you have a couple quick interactions with or whatever, and you're just kind of like patting each other on the back, you know? It's like it's a whole thing, but I think that in general, I think it is, regardless of politics or opinions, like, it's just not healthy to be stressed out and angry all the time. And I feel like that's what a lot of people are online, and then they just keep like feeding into this anger, into this place. And I'm like, you got to take a step back. You know, happens to the best of us. Sometimes you got to take a step back.
I will say for this story, if it is Twitter, pop off, yap all you want. If it's not Twitter that this person works for, I think that going up to the person who asked the question after and saying that to them would have been the better thing to do. And then like just going to HR and be like, hey, I just want to report that this situation happened. I was asked this question. Here's how they reacted. I did not feel like it was a space where I could answer this question honestly. And I do think like, as we know, this is an issue at the company. Like, that's the situation. I do think that like giving it like, you don't want to, if you're asked to represent your company, like, you need to do it in a way that is in the favorable light, because it could hurt your ability to be employed there. So it is a trade-off, especially when you're publicly representing the company. But at the same time, they were pressured to do it. They were begged and begged and begged and begged and begged. So like, did they have a choice? No, not really. So if HR, it's a weird, like, knowing how to balance like well, HR asked me to, and I didn't get any media training, so of course I'm going to talk about it. And if you didn't want me to talk about this, then you shouldn't have asked me to be on the panel. Like, I'm sorry, you want honest answers on panels, I'm going to give them. It's like a balance.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like, if I'm on a panel, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Don't put me on a panel if you don't want honesty, because I'm going to give you honesty. I am not going to lie for my job or for a company. I'm not. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. And at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I've been poor once. I can be poor again. Like, I'll find another job or whatever. Like, I don't know. I can't, I'm like, morally, I can't give something
No,
that's not,
and that's why
yeah.
we're here, because we want to be honest
Yeah.
and give people our honest opinions. Like,
I mean, what's the other option though for her where it's like, okay, oh, well, I feel like I shouldn't answer that question. Is that better or worse, right?
I feel like okay, wait, let me read exactly. Okay, so we're sitting, we're on a panel, and asked if I thought company was a good and supportive environment for women in engineering. So, hi, I have a question.
Yeah. Sure.
So do you think that, hold on, let me make direct eye contact with you. Do you think that company is a good and supportive environment for women?
I don't think I should answer that question.
What?
That's so much worse, is it not? Like, that's way worse. I'm gonna pass.
Okay. How would I answer that? I think that's a really excellent question. Thank you so much for asking. I think that everyone has different experiences at different companies, and I think the entire industry as a whole has a lot of growing to do, but I work my best with what I have.
That was
non-answer.
Non-answer for sure. Just like
it's like a no, but the most non and no you could give.
Yeah.
And then I would go up to that girl after and be like, girl, get out. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't join this company.
Sorry, girly. I feel you, you know? I think you did your best given the situation.
I just thought of something so horrible. You know how we were talking about that photo and there's the one girl in the photo? We should, like, quote tweet that photo with this link and be like, I think I found her Reddit account.
No, don't do that. She doesn't deserve it. She's already going through enough. Like, we don't need to add. Okay, wait, what was the top comment on that?
Oh, okay. The top comment was, they were voted not the asshole. The top comment with 14,000 votes. Also, this just in. Sorry, this post is from 5 years ago.
Oh. So maybe it's not.
It's
Twitter.
not Reddit. Or it's not Twitter. Sorry. It's not Twitter. But, so, top comment. I mean, if talking over a woman to explain how great a woman's experience at your company isn't just the definition of ironic, not the asshole, but they definitely might be the asshole, especially for basically implying shut up and take it.
And lie.
And then thank you for the gold. And then they got gold and silver.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, maybe, you know, I'm vibing with Reddit on this one. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I thought the answer was very diplomatic considering the situation. If they have, like I said, if they have a problem with it, sounds like a them problem. Do some soul searching. I don't know what to tell you because that's how she feels. And you don't like her answer, don't blame her for the answer. Right? Yeah. Like,
the men need to think. Everyone be quiet. Men need to think. The next most popular one is with 4.2k upvotes. Not the asshole. Your coworkers proved your point by speaking over you to begin with. I hope your employer/supervisor won't make an issue out of it.
Yeah.
Also, the account is suspended, so can't see where this person may work.
Bummer. Well, I think that was
riveting.
Yeah, it was riveting. I think we had really good range here. Lots of, you know, opinions. Some of them not popular on my side, you know, that's fine.
That's fine. We're allowed. This is what makes our podcast good, is different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, yeah, like I said, I think that is one of my problems with sometimes the Am I the Asshole post is you really only are seeing the story through the lens of the person, right? And, yeah, I mean, you know, emotions are going to color that sometimes. And so I don't know. But hey, I think the other ones were kind of like easy, not the asshole. And then the internship one, I'm just like, good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Anyways. I mean, all you can do at this point is now just see where it leads you, how it works out. But yeah, and you know, for people listening, don't put your company's private information into ChatGPT. I think that's a bad idea. Don't do that. Word of advice.
Oh, definitely don't do it. But I love this. This is like I'm like thriving. I like the entire time I've had the biggest smile on my face. I love listening to r/am I the asshole like Reddit reading. Please give us your stories. Let us comment on them. Please, 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 please.
Yes. If you have one advice or you have Am I the Asshole stories, again, go to our Reddit, post on there.
Tech focused ones.
Tech focused ones. Also, if you find one on Reddit, you can like repost it, I think, in our sub too. So if there is one like on the Am I the Asshole or you see it or you thought it was interesting, you can like repost it there. Because we'll definitely be doing more of these episodes. I think it's an interesting format.
I found like dozens.
There was actually one that I found like right before this, but you had already found so many that I was like, well, we could like save it for later maybe.
No, put it in. I moved everything into a document, put it in there. Like,
okay.
I have dozens of posts that we can read.
Amazing. I'm excited.
So we're definitely going to do this again. And I'm so excited for these episodes. Like once a month we should do these because they're so good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Please rate, the podcast. We really appreciate it. If you, as Corey Quinn says, like the podcast, give us 5 stars. And if you don't like it, give us 5 stars and share with your friends. Follow us on Twitter, Reddit, all the spaces, all the places.
I finally got our TikTok back so we can TikTok now.
Good stuff. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.